Right.
Damn it. Hold on. Well, here we are again. One more day. One more dollar lost. Oh, woke up this morning and I bought Bitcoin last night. And not a whole lot, but just enough to where woke up this morning and I was a little happy because I saw it almost a $9,500 Bitcoin when I bought it at about 8,000. So I made a couple of dollars, not too much, but you know, Charlie.
Good morning or good afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Boy, there was a quite of a dip yesterday when Bitcoin seemed to go below $8,000 into the $7,000 area. And then it took a bounce. It went back up. So. You know, it's not looking too bad right now. I've seen worse days. I've seen a lot of green. You know, I'm looking around at the. I have an app on my phone that I think some people should get. It's called Delta, and you can actually plug in your watch list. You can put in a watch list of coins you want to watch, and you can also give yourself alerts. So if something goes above or below what you want it to, you can. You know, go buy or sell or whatever you want. What do you want to do? So, yeah, I've got mine set at $9,500 for Bitcoin because I want to sell what I've got around $9,500. And right now we're at 94.13. With yesterday, you know, it was kind of scary yesterday, but look at it bounce back. It always does.
It's more. It was scary for a lot of people. The Dow Jones fell 666 points yesterday.
666.
666. It was by the way, it was the sixth worst trading day for the Dow Jones in its history. So a lot of sixes are flying around here. Take that for what it means. I mean, you can make. Yeah.
Well, my mom would be hugging her Bible right now and telling me I'm playing with the devil's coins.
I'm not going any further. I'm just stating the facts. That's it. You make up your own minds out there, and I'm not saying a word. But anyway, what struck me yesterday in watching this, and I was trying to listen to a few analysts here and there, and some random people were saying it was because interest rates, specifically the federal funds rate, which is the rate that banks lend each other for short-term loans overnight, rose. But it had been bouncing around at less than 1% for I guess more than a few years. And so you're talking about, if you can bring it up, if you have that chart anywhere near there.
Which chart? The Dow Jones chart?
Not the, well, you can bring that up too.
Okay, I got that up right now.
Okay. Our listeners or viewers or whatever you have can take a look at this and see for themselves graphically just
666.75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's...
665.75. Yeah, it was almost 666. It's 665.75. Yeah. It's close enough for devil's work.
You can get it. But the Dow had been just on a massive tear for the last year, or for the last 6-7 months. And
well, let's look at the last year. Well, it's been going up since February of last year until January 26th when it hit its peak. It was a nice rise there.
Yeah. So the question is this just to reset, a rest between
a correction?
I don't know. Or is this really just a temporary correction? I don't know. But I do know this, that the federal, if you can bring up that chart about the federal funds rate, it's not showing right now. It's the one I sent you, or where we were able to dig up.
Is that it?
From the Federal Reserve.
No.
I don't see it.
No? Huh.
Yeah. I'll let you do your magic.
Let's see here. Is this it? Hold on. There it is. There we go. Fred, right? Effective federal.
Yep, that's it.
funds
I'm
rate.
not seeing it on my. I'm not seeing it on the.
Yeah, it takes a second. Give it a second. We're on a little bit of delay here in case somebody drops the F-bomb. I got to shut you off.
Yeah, right. That's more likely you than me. But
the Fred bomb.
Yeah, because I'm just so sophisticated and debonair that I wouldn't do such a thing. Yeah. But if you take a look at the federal, it's called the federal funds rate, and like I was saying before, that's the rate that banks lend to each other overnight for short periods of time. And apparently, well, this is the reason that's important because it's a harbinger of what they think rates are going to be doing. It has a direct effect on the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
And it does. It does affect. It's one of the indicators. And the dollar rose quite a lot yesterday. It rose almost, not quite 1%, but it had a nice little jump after, quite a number of days of going down. But if this is all that it takes to have a major sell-off on the Dow Jones, the oldest of the blue chips, what does it tell you about just how tenuous the U.S. economy is going to be doing, specifically or specifically in the financial market?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this way. I mean, we shouldn't have these massive fall-offs in any case, simply because a couple of interest rates may rise a few basis points. This is just insane. This is just crazy, and it just tells you how remarkably insecure a lot of our institutions have become.
Yeah. Charlie?
Yo.
There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So you're looking at this, and you can see from December of last year, 2016, it was 0.54. January 2018, 1.41. So it's had a quite an increase in the end.
Yeah. But if you take a look at it, but prior to that, it was bouncing around at like 0%, at less than 1%.
Yeah, that's what I said. In January or December of 2016, almost a year ago, it was at 0.0. Here, look, November 0.014 or 0.41. And it stayed there. Look at that. July of 2016, 0.39. So it has been gradually climbing.
But this is kind of the what people were talking about with zero interest rate policy for quite a while.
Yeah.
Ever since 2008, you'd had what was called a zero interest rate policy, where they said we're in such a crisis at the time, we need to lower interest rates as far as we can, almost to zero, in order to be able to stimulate the economy. But that was supposed to be only for an emergency. That was supposed to be an emergency stopgap measure.
Yeah.
But this took place for several years.
Well, it looks like it went on from December of 2008 till November of 2015, where it was down below. And it's just been steadily climbing since November 2015.
Right. Well, the thing is, if you take a look at this rate, I mean, if you're talking about a zero interest rate policy, what in the world is going to induce you or prod you to go in and save anything? Why would you go and this is why credit card companies, for one thing, were making an enormous amount of money, because they didn't have to, they themselves weren't paying a lot for the funds that they were getting, that they were lending out. And of course, interest rates, credit card interest rates were much, much higher. What they charged you was far higher. So a lot of the institutions were making a great deal of money. But people like you and me couldn't make any money on our savings. They actually didn't want us to save. They wanted us to just go spend and borrow. Yeah. Because if you take a look at what you have on the board or on screen right now, how the hell would that get me to go down and do anything at all? Nope. In terms of savings. So it was kind of a war. Some people have said it was a war against savers, and
war against savers,
and basically just a paradise for people who wanted to consume and spend.
Mm-hmm.
But that couldn't last forever.
No.
If you're claiming that this is an emergency stopgap measure, well, after 7 years, or almost 7 years, it's about time to either start doing something. Otherwise, we're in a constant state of an emergency. So now the interest rates are beginning to rise because obviously they couldn't maintain that kind of situation forever. Why would other nations want to invest in our sovereign debt, in our government's debt, when they're not getting anything as well? Mm-hmm. So at some point, it became obvious we got to do something. And now, as the federal funds rate indicates, and this is the lending, just to let people know, these are the rates for some of the best institutions. I mean, between banks.
Yeah.
So those are generally pretty good customers, and this is what they lend to each other to keep their reserves at a certain rate. And it's at a little over 1%. It's not even at 2%. You got a problem here. You got a problem if you get, as some people have claimed, that the sell-off yesterday was due to this increasing situation where they're going to keep raising the interest rate, at least for the federal funds rate. Is that all it takes? I mean, is that what's going to take to have the stock market fall through the floor like this? It's just, how bad are things when that's the situation? Now, how does this connect back to cryptos?
Yeah.
Well, cryptos, you would think, would be an alternative to this mess. They would somehow be the ones to say, well, see, effectively, we are, truncated from this kind of situation. At least that's what some of the marketing that they've been able to push out. And you would think that there would be an alternative bounce in the price of the cryptos, and that might be what you're reflecting. And you were talking about how your investment kind of came up during the day, how it increased over was it a 24-hour period of time?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that it had gone that low, but I'm like, okay, well, I see bouncing happening, so I'm gonna jump in right now. I'm gonna see what happens, and of course it paid off. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not saying I'm not an analyst of the crypto system. I'm simply talking in an overall, in a more fundamental way. Well, maybe that's the reason why. Because it's actually supposed to be doing what it's supposed to be, what it's touted to do, and be that alternative. But there's something else I wanted to talk to you about, the cryptos. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that most trading that goes on specifically with the Dow Jones, or the biggest, with the New York Stock Exchange, isn't done by people. It's done by machines. It's done by computers and computer algorithms. They are the ones who are trading on, stocks. It's not people on the, we have this old stereotype that there are a bunch of people screaming and yelling and running around on the floor of the stock exchange. No, that's not quite true anymore. Only a small portion of the trading that goes on in the stock market is done by human beings. It's almost entirely done by computers and computer algorithms. And it's called high-frequency trading. But anyway, that's not the important thing. The important thing is the people who are talking about cryptocurrencies and the new algorithms and the way they're doing things. There's nothing new about this. This has been done for quite some time now on Wall Street. So the idea that you have some brand new technology that's never been done before, that has never been used, is just not true. As this article points out, it's computers that do your trading. So, and as you're pointing out here, it does belong to bots. It does belong to computers and robots. Yeah. It's all machine trading that's taking place.
Well, we have a link in here on our, and you can go down and below. You'll see the links to these references, so you can go and read the full article for yourself if if you want to. But yeah, everybody thinks that it's these guys running around on the floor like that poor guy right there with his hand rubbing his forehead, going, "Oh man."
They're dinosaurs. They've already been they're obsolete. Those guys are pretty much obsolete. I think it's close to 90% of all trades that go on with the stock market, with the Dow Jones, or on what am I trying to say, on the New York Stock Exchange is almost entirely, like I said, machine trading.
Wow.
And so even the stock market, which you would think, like you said, in the old days, as you had this picture, all these guys milling around, all these guys are dinosaurs. All these guys have been pretty much going to be replaced in the next few years. And the trends keep going. Yeah. And these are supposed to be pretty well-educated guys with degrees and whatever else that you, whatever pedigree you need to be on the floor doing this. And they're being replaced. Yeah. And they're being automated out of a job. So it kind of underscores a bigger point. Things are happening right now to make people obsolete.
Well, we have a video here. I want to play this real quick, and this is from that article. So we just get our listeners a piece of this.
Reasonably good report with some minor bad spots. 200,000 jobs created in January, 196,000 of them by private companies. Unemployment remains at 4.1%, but the U6 rate, including discouraged workers, ticks up a bit to 8.2%. There's good news on earnings, up 0.3 for the month of January. That pushes the year-over-the-year rate up to 2.9%, which may be because hours worked dropped significantly, down by 0.2 to 34.3. That's the lowest since September, the last time we saw a year-over-year increase in earnings that high. Two notes on Trump stats. There were 100 additional coal miners in January, and the African-American unemployment rate jumped during January up to 7.7% from 6.8%. This was also the month of the annual benchmark revisions. We find out there were a total of 2,173,000 jobs created in 2017.
Okay, I thought he was going to be talking about the 666, the Dow plunges, and that wasn't.
Yeah, that's I think they basically want us to ignore that.
Yeah. Oh, here, what is this right here?
As they can.
I think no, it's not. It's just a video, just a still image. Damn it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that one of the interesting things is that they were talking about the U6 rate. There's different. When you take a look at the unemployment rate, there's different ways of measuring unemployment that the Bureau of Labor Statistics compiles. And the one that they produce the most, or the one that we see the most, is the U3 rate. The U2, yeah, it's the one that doesn't take into account discouraged workers or workers who've fallen out of the labor pool. They've just given up.
Yeah.
And the U6 is the most inclusive, and they're claiming that it's about almost 9%. But it's probably far higher than that because of the fact that it was the BLS last year that said that about 94 million working age Americans, the people that are of the age to be able to work, I believe it was between the ages of 16 and 54, they just disappeared. They're just not even in the market anymore. They're not even being counted. Who knows where they went? I mean, it came and it went. It wasn't really a bit of data that was emphasized quite a lot. I can understand why. Why would you, as a politician, want to tout the fact that the economy is basically getting rid of workers as quickly as they possibly can? And if that data is correct, and as I pointed out, as we pointed out in this article, most of the Wall Street trading isn't done by people anymore; it's done by machines. So it's only beginning to underscore the situation that if you start to look a little bit more deeply, a lot of things just don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was talking to you earlier about. How is this supposed to be affecting? They shouldn't be affecting the Bitcoin, but and cryptocurrencies, but somehow it did.
Yeah, and somehow, but I guess if you take a look at how cryptos are marketed and what people are telling you about cryptos, is that they are in fact an alternative to the currency and to the fiscal and monetary policies of the United States. They're supposed to be that alternative. So when the stock market falls because interest rates have supposedly the stock market falls because interest rates have gone up a few basis points. Well, you would think that people would then start to look at cryptos to say, well, maybe this will be something that would protect me. It would be the hedge against this kind of collapse. But like I pointed out earlier, cryptos are based on the same kind of mathematics and the same kind of machinery as is the stock market. That's why I'd like to be able to get one of the people that we're efforting to do as an interview that are the functionaries at these crypto coin companies to come and explain just exactly the mechanisms that underscore their coin's worth.
Yeah, and
Because,
we actually, I was telling you yesterday, we actually got a couple of people that have contacted me in the last few days here about wanting to come on. There was a group down in San Diego that we're going to be talking with here really quick. It is the what do they call themselves? It was down in San Diego, the crypto meetup group. One second, let me get this guy up here really quick. San Diego Cryptocurrency Meetup by Lunafee. So we'll be talking with them next week. Also, a guy from Edge, Brett Musser, contacted me this past week. I think we'll be talking with Edge, and I think I was telling you that they created a secure your assets, your control, privacy, anonymity, protection, all in one easy to use mobile wallet, now available for limited beta. So this will be coming out really soon for iOS and Android. It's a multi-asset asset support, so it'll be where you can put your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many others, long-term or short-term, hold your assets safely. Exchange between assets, seamlessly shift between digital currencies, assets on the go. In-app buy and sell, which is it. We're kind of stuck right now with man, why do I always forget the name of that stupid app? Or Coinbase. So we're kind of stuck with Coinbase right now as one of the places that you can only buy your cryptos with your ATM card or your credit card. And I just read a thing yesterday that the people from Bank of America, if you have a Bank of America credit card, they're shutting off the ability to buy cryptos. I think it's also it was either Citibank or Chase that they're going to be doing the same thing, where you will not be able to buy with your credit card. You can still, if you still have your ATM card through Bank of America or Citi or Chase, I forget which one it was, you can still use that, but they're just not letting you buy with your credit card because they're afraid that if you run up your credit card and you lose all your money, they're not going to get their money.
Well, the thing is, how many times have they stopped you from using your credit? I mean, there are people that are losing their homes right now because of they can't pay their medical bills. They've run up credit cards or they've done whatever they can to try to borrow to pay for medical bills, and they're losing their homes. This is one of the largest areas of bankruptcy, or one of the major reasons for people going bankrupt. And nobody seems to be saying, well, how do we stop, or how do we, how do we get you to have medical care without going bankrupt? But yet with Bitcoin, we're somehow finding a way of stopping you from purchasing it. Again, we have a really big dissonance here, because like we were talking about the other day, we pointed out time and again that other companies, major corporations, are looking into the cryptocurrencies. And yet you're talking about your banks, major institutions, retail banks that are saying, no, we're not going to let you I'm not going to allow you to do that. It floors me. It just
don't get sick. Don't let your bank know that you're sick. They find out you're sick, boy. They're going to take your house away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we're not going to give you a loan because you're going to get sick and you're going to die, and we're going to be without our money. So to hell with you.
Or they'll just take your house. Yeah. So they don't have any problem lending. The thing that bothers me the most is when I was teaching high school, I had a lot of kids that were going to go to college. There were, the school I taught at and the school district I taught at was not a rich school. It was a rich district. It was a pretty poor, working class, blue collar area. And most of the kids that went there or were going to go to college almost entirely were going to go with student loans. And so you were allowing 17 and 18-year-olds to take out loans, or their families co-writing, co-sponsoring those loans, when they knew full well that those kids were not going to be able to pay back those loans.
No.
And how do I know that they weren't? Because they were they were making so many fees or so much profit and taking on so many and having a business model that said, we're going to make money from the defaulted loans that these kids are having. So they knew, they being the banks or whoever, or in this case, the federal government, because the federal government in 2009 pretty much took over the entire lending for student loans, and they're allowing these kids to take on massive amounts of debt to fulfill this fantasy, and they don't seem to care. They know full well that the default rates are rising, and yet they still make these loans.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But somehow with cryptos,
they're insured by aren't they? They're insured by that, aren't they? When they give you a student loan, aren't they insured with that? So It doesn't matter if you make the payment or not. They're going to get their money, and they're going to keep making you make that payment.
The government underwrites it, or the government says, well, they're the leg breakers that are going to reinforce the fact that you're going to pay. You will pay. I mean, they'll chase you down no matter no matter what they do.
Well, I was just talking to my wife yesterday. She said that her mom died with a gigantic student loan, and her sister ended up having to keep making that payment on it.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you're not going to get away from it. She wasn't married to her sister, but her sister had to make that payment.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Because she co-signed it. That's the way they get you. I mean, now, why are they have these remarkable loan sharking, this is something that a loan shark would kind of pull on you.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of, this is the stuff of legend,
Yeah.
And yet somehow they don't have any problem giving you more and more student loans to prop up this entire college and university scheme and scam, in my opinion. Of course, it's my opinion. No problem. I don't have a problem giving you as much money as you want. Go get a second degree. Go get a graduate degree and go on and get your master's. I live here in Eugene, Oregon, and we have the University of Oregon here, and they have a law school. And I have to admit, this is anecdotal, but nevertheless, I've talked to a lot of people who are law students or law school graduates. They're coming out of school. They're coming out of law school with well over $100,000 in debt. And it's at the very worst time to do that because they're just not hiring lawyers. Attorneys are there are a lot of law schools that are in big trouble because they can't get people to come. They're falling enrollment because people are finding out they're not hiring lawyers. So you're coming up with $100,000 plus in student loan debts for both your undergraduate and I think it's about $90,000 to attend 3 years over at the U of O Law School. Don't quote me on that. I shouldn't say that. But I believe it's something along those lines. It's extraordinarily expensive. And yet you don't have a problem. You don't see the government. You don't see the bank or anybody standing up and saying, we're giving away, we're loading on too much debt on these students' backs at the time when when they're not hiring, when they know full well that they're going to be defaulting at ever-increasing rates. And like you said, this woman's sister has to take on these debts that after the woman is dead, after the person who actually, took on the loans is dead.
Yep.
Yeah. But yet somehow, if you really wanted to do this, all you had to say, the Bank of America would have to say is, look, you can only borrow $2,000, or they can put a limit as to how much cryptos you can buy. They could say we're going to mitigate the risk by just limiting how much you can purchase, rather than an outright ban. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'd have to ask and try and figure that out. Why are you protecting people this way, but letting them sink and die in the other way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just pointed out these anomalies, these paradoxes, these things that just don't add up.
They're just dumbing down America. These colleges, they just want the money. They're dumbing down America. They got all these idiot kids running around, smoking pot, drinking beer, staying out till 4 a.m, playing video games all day, and then they wonder why that our technology is going down the drain. They keep gouging people for school and education, and they wonder why Americans are becoming the idiots. We're the freaking jokes. And all these other kids, they're getting free education in all these other countries, and then of course you jump across the border, you run over here, you jump across the border, and you crap out a couple of kids. Those kids are going to get a full ride to college.
Yeah. Well, the thing, you know why this is going on? We don't have it here. We're wandering far astray. But I guess
what? What do you mean? Camping out kids doesn't have anything to do with crypto? What?
No, it actually does have a lot to do with crypto because, like we were talking about, that the banks are denying you the ability to use, their money or get a loan if you want to buy crypto. But again, they don't have a problem either, giving you a bunch of loans to go to college when in fact they know that the capacity for you to pay it back is dwindling every day.
Yeah.
Those loans are being pushed out. You know why? Because the government underwrites them. But you know why the loans are going up? The University of California professors did a study about why tuition has just, exploded at the University of California, with that system, within that college system. And yet, if you take a look at the classrooms, the class sizes continue to increase. They're not hiring more tenure-track professors. They have just a bunch of adjunct professors, which means that they're the equivalent of temp workers.
Wow.
You know why? Because they want you to they want students to take on more debt because those loans, that's the collateral for all the building projects that go on at university campuses. Now, if you you live in Orange County, go down to UCI or Cal State Long Beach, or Cal State Fullerton, and take a look at how many new buildings are going on those campuses.
Oh, there's building going on all the time.
Yeah, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
So guess what's the collateral? It's not the building itself, because the bondholders, they can be anywhere in the world. The people who buy the debt, because they're all, premised on borrowing money and taking on debt. What is the collateral are the loans, the student loans, the money that, you're paying as if you took on any debt to go to college. That money is being pledged to pay for those buildings. And in many cases, those buildings serve no academic purpose whatsoever. That's what the UC professors, if anybody wants this reference, it's called They Pledge Your Tuition. And I suggest anybody who has a college student or who has a child who thinks about going to college or is attempting to go to college or paying their student loans, read that article because it spells out where your money is going and why you didn't have a very good, you may be thinking, I didn't learn that much when I was in college. I didn't have a really good college experience, not in the classroom anyway. And that's why, because less money is being given over to academics and more money is being earmarked for debt service on buildings that you probably didn't even use or didn't even need or had no academic purpose.
Wow. All right.
So there you go. Now, I know we've ranged afar of this, but it basically tells you that the flow of money and where the money is being and how easily we get duped into thinking that one thing is important, the other one's a scam. And I guess that's what I'm leading all to. Yeah.
Well, I get that. I hate just a quick update. Yesterday we were number 4 on the iTunes store. Today, it's a wonderful, wonderful day. I just went and checked. We are, if I could just find this here, where the heck is it? Oh, shoot. Anyway, we're actually number 3 today, Charlie. We are number 3. Thanks to all our listeners. We are actually number 3 in the top podcast in the tech world. We're just behind Wall Street Journal and Note to Self. We actually overtook TED Talk. TED Talk, it's not even on here today. So amazing. Thank you to all listeners to, go to iTunes podcast and it's really great. It's great. It's a fun day that we can say that we got a little clout in the world. We got a little bit of love from the iTunes world, putting us on number 3. So a self-gratifying
That's remarkable.
On the back.
You got to admit, we have to disclose the fact that we've only been on the air for about a little over a week. And
I'm not sure how that whole thing's happening, but I'm very happy that we're up there, and we have been getting quite a lot of traction. especially from iTunes, not quite as much as we have on YouTube, but we're getting a lot of love from the iTunes world. So
yeah, and just to as a disclaimer, you and I are just. I know I keep saying this every broadcast.
Say it again.
Podcast, but
preach it to me, brother. Preach it.
Yeah, we and I are just the average Joes, just like anybody else who's listening. We are on. We're trying to figure out this new currency, this new technology, as best we can.
Yeah, there's too much out there for one person to try to wrap their head around. There's just too much out there. And everyone, there's people, there's self-serving. A lot of these channels, a lot of these YouTube guys are self-serving. There's some of them being hit with lawsuits because they were pumping these things up, and now that BitConnect's gone, I see a few of these guys that are getting a little bit of trouble, a little bit of heat for giving too much love to this the one company, and getting all worked up about it and showing how much money they're making on it, and then that tanked, and now they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't believe everything you're reading. We're not pumping anything. We're not selling anything. We're not trying to make you guys go do anything. We're trying to expose what we know, what we've researched. And Charlie, you're definitely the go-to guy on financing and that kind of world. But just to have your expertise on that is great.
Well, the one thing that I try and do, or that not just me, but you and I and the people I talk to try and do, is to just show these paradoxes. These kinds of things that just don't add up, that are not consistent. If you're going to claim that we're protecting you on one side, then from fraud and deceit, then you better be doing this all across the board. You have to be consistent in what you're making, in what you're claiming. So, or at least that's what I see. And when I see something that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or that kind of makes me think that something isn't correct here, or that there's some deeper story here, then that's what we jump on, and we try and discuss it and bring it to a bigger attention, or to bring it to a bigger audience and say, hey, look at this. Now, if any of you and anybody out there has an explanation for this, or wants to debate us or discuss these things with us, by all means. We do not hold ourselves on as experts.
No, please come and tell me. Please tell me what the answer is to this stuff, because I don't know. But I'd love to be able to be told.
Yeah, I would love to hear. Like I said, I'm not an expert. Neither are you. No, do we claim to be. But we sure are smart enough, or at least aware enough. I'm not going to say the word smart. That's bandied around too much. And it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. We're just aware. You and I have lived a long life. We've lived a life. We've experienced a lot of different things. We've seen a lot of things come and go, a lot of things that were told to us that turned out not to be true. So we're just, the average Joe that if you think about it and are critical in your analysis, are saying, it's about time for us to take a little bit of responsibility for what's going on. Yeah. They always tell us, do your due diligence, right? That's all we're always told, do your due diligence. Okay. That means asking questions and being critical and a little bit skeptical, more than a little skeptical. That's what we're doing. That's what we are.
Yeah. Hey, I was able to actually pull up that graph on our screen there. It shows, not lying, top podcast right here. Here we go, number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3. Boy, feels good. Wake up in the morning.
That's remarkable. That's
first place gold, second place silver, third place we didn't try at all.
Right.
We didn't even try it all. Well, once again, it's been a great day talking with you, Charlie. I don't know if you got any plans for the weekend. I think I'm going to go roll some bones in Vegas and see what happens out there.
Well, I'm going to.
How's Eugene?
I think I'm going to go.
What's the weather like in Eugene?
Say again?
What's the weather like in Eugene today?
Oh, it's actually kind of nice. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, surprisingly, warmer than it normally is for this time of the year, but it's great. I would suggest everybody come up and visit the Northwest.
They should. Get the hell out of California. Go visit Eugene.
Yeah, but don't stay. We don't need any guys up here.
Okay, you visit and I'll go home.
Just come and visit. Yeah, drop your money and get the hell out. But, I mean, that's...
bring your money and go home.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go, buddy. Thanks for having a good discussion.
Before you go, I got to let you know, and once again, that our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sponsor today, like almost every last few episodes, is Heine Wine. And I don't know if you've been able to wrap your hand around a hiney lately, Charlie, but, made in beautiful downtown Yermo, California, just minutes away from the lovely Zizix, California, that everyone has seen on the way to Vegas, but couldn't really know how to pronounce that. It's Zizix, and it's not ZZYZX, but that's where Uncle Harry Heine. That's where he first thought about putting his Heine in a flip top disposable can. Established 1979. Tradition is being kept alive by Henry's two nephews, Big Red and Thor, who refuse to put their name on Heine until it's perfect. That way you know that anytime you wrap your hands around an ice cold Heine, it's going to be the best Heine you've ever had. And just like they always say, you only go around once in this life, so grab all the Heine you can get. Heine Winery.
Listen, I want to stop promoting these guys until they deliver that case of Heine wine that they said they were going to send us. We still haven't gotten it. I haven't gotten my case yet.
I've had a case of Heine, and I tell you, once you go Heine, you don't go back.
Okay, I got to see this. I got to prove this to myself. So would you get on the phone and tell those guys to the PR department to send me the case?
I will.
Been waiting for a while.
I will. They've got a beautiful Merlot, and it's a very dry Heine. I'm not a big fan of dry Heine. I like my Heine, a little sweet.
Do you really?
I do. I do like a little sweet Heine. So
okay.
I'm going to try. I'm going to do a taste test. I'm going to do a dry Heine and a sweet Heine, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know how the results come out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then do that on air. And
I will. And it's going to be tough to pop a top on a Heine here on the air without you don't want the Heine to just go willy nilly. And people aren't going to believe me if I'm holding the wet Heine or the dry Heine. Because we don't have webcams when we're doing this. We got to keep our identity, safe, because we're out there, baby. We're out there every day, and I got a lot on the line. I can't let people see who I am. But people see me holding a wet Heine, a sweet Heine or a dry Heine, and they're like, "Hey, man, what are you doing with that dry Heine?
What are you doing there, buddy?" Yeah. Okay, well, that's more information than I'll ever know or ever want to know, and it's damn near exciting too. It's not quite there, but it's damn near exciting. So I very much appreciate. I very the thing is we are in fact the marketing department for the Crypto WonderDog show. So we have to do these promotional tactics and things from time to time. So
we do. And if you would like to sponsor the show, we'd love for you to come on and sponsor this. And we got to get this Heine out of here. I love Heine, but sometimes you've had a little too much Heine, and you want to bring the next thing in.
Yeah.
So
well, what? It's good talking to you, or whatever.
So be sure to tell all your friends, Charlie, about the wonderful Crypto the WonderDog show. Please like and subscribe too on both YouTube and iTunes. Please come on by, get the little notification when our next show goes up. We try to do these about once a day. Both Charlie and myself. I'll try to bring people whenever Charlie's actually out there working and making money, and I'm sitting around the house pretty much doing nothing, and just holding my Heine.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go. This is good
All right,
talking
Charlie.
to you, buddy.
Good talking to you. And until next time, this is Dean and Charlie for Crypto the WonderDog.